few topics today. We'll go through review, and there are three topics that remain for clearing the basics of OOD, object-oriented design. And those are packages, dealing with scope, and wrapper classes. I know somebody was asking questions around scope last time. The whole thing about private, public, protected, and default. And yeah, so today you'll get your answer, right? It's in the notes. And then I'll spend some time talking about assignment 5. So let's get to the list of things you should know by now is what is a class and object, and everything inside the class. Instance, static stuff. Instance methods, static methods, instance variables, static variables, right? You probably already know private and public. You're using that to encapsulate. And then you have object relationships. Containment. Can somebody please tell me what containment is? Yes.
It's like if you declare something as private, it contains it in one object, and then you wouldn't if another class tries to access it, it wouldn't be able to access it. They're only available for that specific object or specific class.
That is encapsulation, my friend.
Oh, containment.
What a perfect definition and nicely described. That is encapsulation. Okay, containment and louder. You don't have to raise your hand, just talk.
Using an object as an attribute of another object.
Using an object as a property of another object. And if that object is private, then it is encapsulated. Like your brain in the human object. And every other body part that's inside the body. Right? Is containment. Right? Heart, tummy, whatever other, I didn't go through all the biology.
What's the difference between containment and encapsulation?
Encapsulation, as he said, is hiding. When you declare something private, it's encapsulated. When you make an object inside another, atom inside a molecule atom is contained inside a molecule. Electrons are contained inside an atom. Okay. Sure. So we have containment, and then we have inheritance. Oh, we have association. Are you able to describe association from a concept perspective? You are associated to this class from 6 p.m. to 7:50 p.m. Are you associated with other things in your life? Name them. Name some association. Huh?
This room.
This room. Okay, you're associated with this room. The chair you're sitting on is also a temporary association. Thoughts. Thoughts are associated. If your brain flies at 100 miles an hour with thoughts, then all of those are unique associations. The reason it's important to visualize these relationships is so when you're ready to design, you know what to do. Association is implemented as how? How do you implement association in code? I'm going to ask you this every class. Why? These things, basics, you should remember in your sleep. So you should know what to use in OOD when. How do you implement association? Yes?
You can create an object of a class and then pass that into another class, and then, that's yeah.
Mhm. You pass an object by reference. And that's implicit, right? When you pass an object by reference, how does that work?
Remember,
It's in a method. So you set up a method and you pass the object by reference. And then inheritance. When do you use well, what is inheritance? When you get a ton of money? One kind of inheritance. But what is the inheritance that we're talking about here? Properties extended. Properties extended from parent to child. And polymorphism? Same name, different behavior. And how is that implemented? If you were to use one word to describe. What do you call it? When you have same signatures across classes, what do you call it? Overriding. What is overloading? So in fact, polymorphism is implemented using both overriding and overloading. It uses overriding across classes, same signature, overloading different parameters in same class. Both polymorphism. Can polymorphism be applied to constructors? Yes. Okay. So, writing packages. So, package in Java is a group of similar classes from a functional standpoint. From a functional standpoint. And what does that mean? Well, if we are dealing with multi-threading or security or I/O, there will be a package for each one. Groups of classes. And we'll get into the habit of using packages starting lab 5. We'll also get closer to using all the Java coding conventions, so I'll make a nice checklist for you guys to use. Which is of course not for me to use, it's for you to use. I break the rules in class all the time, I'm told. I try not to, but I take the, nobody's grading me, so who cares? Right? You're the ones getting graded. So, when you create a package that creates a scope, it creates a scope. And so there are package level variables. Anytime you create something that's protected, it's a package level variable. So you can use it between classes. You should use this carefully. This is almost like creating a global variable. So all the bad things they say about global variables apply here. I shouldn't, because this is becoming part of history, I guess, recording history, I guess. Almost global variables. They aren't global. So, creating a package. My assumption is that you're never really going to write code without an IDE. You'll have Eclipse, NetBeans, or some other favorite tool that you guys use. So I'll introduce packages using Eclipse in a moment, as soon as it loads. when you create a package, an underlying data structure, underlying directory structure is created for packages and subpackages. And for each, it has the same name as the package name. Directory name is the same as package name. And then we add .java files in these directories to link the class to a package. And as a rule, you only add one class per Java file. That's an absolute. Unless you're working with inner classes, which will be after the midterm. Or maybe next week, we'll see. Yes?
What's a directory structure?
Oh, what's a directory structure? Well, let's go to Z drive. 95A is, oh no, not that one. I'm looking for directories and subdirectories. That's a directory structure. Get it? Directory structure. So, when you have folders in the file system, and you have subfolders and subfolders for organizing your files, that is called a directory structure. Okay. So we add Java files, and then we also add a line, first line. First line in the file is package, name of package, semicolon. Or not first line, but we should say add a line. Question already? Please go ahead.
Just back to the previous subject for packages. When you have classes all together in one package, don't you get a flexibility of recalling some methods from class to class since you're already in one package? Does that work as an inheritance at some point? Instead of like extending from class to class, a package can give you that flexibility of recalling some methods between different classes,
Yes.
right?
So to repeat the question, if you put classes in a package, then you can call methods from one class in another class inside that package.
Right.
You can also do that outside of a package. Like for example, we are importing java.util to use scanner. Right? You all using scanner? Everybody knows what it is? You have a problem if you don't.
So doesn't it work already like an inheritance?
No, inheritance is a different animal. When you are importing a class or a package and using the methods in it is different than inheritance. Inheritance is the parent is giving properties and methods to child. There is no such thing here, right? So when you actually physically build an object of a class, all the properties that are declared by parent and grandparent classes are inherited by the child. With what you're describing, it's just sharing or its scope and access to certain methods that are needed for a utility. It's quite different. Yes?
So if you import like a package, then how does it get saved to memory? Is it like you have to create an object of the entire package and
No.
then that gets it?
To be covered, but to answer your question, when you import a package, it simply gives you access to all the classes.
Right.
It's just like setting the path variable so you can access the program. So now if I have 500 classes in that package, I have access to those. So especially if I say package name dot star. Star is a wildcard that says give me everything. But that has performance repercussions.
So
And
then-
when I talk about import statement after building a package, I will detail that. And there are more things about sub-packages too, to be talked about.
How do we create classes which cannot be accessed outside the package?
Make them private. Right. Very good question, right? How do you create classes so a class cannot be accessed outside of a package? So there are two answers to your question. One is you can try and make the class private. The other is you can create inner classes, a topic that we have to discuss in the future.
By default, all classes are public.
By default, all classes have to be public. Right. But yes, there is a way to, you can hide the, even if the class is public, as long as the modifiers are private, the accessibility is limited. But then there are other constructs like inner classes available to do what you're, to create private classes. So, yes.
So if you import a package, and then you compile it, does it automatically save all the information from the classes in like not in like the random access memory, but like in like its own separate main memory?
Yes.
And then okay, but then let's say the different classes create objects, right? And like one class creates an object and it passes that reference of that object to another class, right? And then they use that to figure out calculations or whatever. Then can you do that if it's in main memory? Because then all those addresses get hard coded and stuff. So I'm just kind of confused about how like that stuff works, like memory and.
Addressing in Java is dynamic.
Okay. Yeah.
And I don't plan to address that tonight.
Right.
I don't plan to talk about that tonight. But at some point when we have enough maturity with writing code, I will pull up the JVM internals and show you how the runtime is different than compile time. And Java's runtime and compile time are very different than C++. C++ has this tendency to have static binding. Java has dynamic binding. And I need to cover inner classes and later on. So give me a few minutes to cover the topic of packages. And it's a very nice story and it'll answer a lot of the questions. And then whatever is unanswered in the end, then fire questions. So I need a 10-minute block. Uninterrupted, if I may. Okay. So I'm creating a package, right? This gives birth to a modifier protected, where we create these package level variables that are like global variables. Global in the package. That's why I'm using the word almost global. When we create a package, there is an underlying directory structure that's created for packages and sub-packages, basically folders, right? And we add Java files in those folders. And whenever a Java file is created inside a package, one of the things you need to understand programmatically is this sentence package space name of the package semicolon is added. By virtue of the position of the Java file in the directory, one thing. Second thing, having the statement, which is the same as the name of the directory or name of the package, right? By having these two things, a class becomes a member of a package. Just like when you go and join these, clubs and things, right? There is a declaration, right? When you become a member of a club, usually they'll give you an ID card or some way to identify you're part of the club, right? So this is that ID card, if you will, right? So, and also a lot of these clubs have a location where they meet. So location is similar to the directory structure. Now we're not talking about objects here, people. We're talking about classes. Classes is what objects are made out of. Okay, so Eclipse has started. we are just creating a project, new Java project. We'll call it demo package, demo PKG. And usually click yes or finish here, right? That's the default. So inside the project, I'll create a new package. And I'll call the package hello, 1. If I try to name the package starting with an uppercase, it doesn't object, but it says it's discouraged. Java coding conventions call for package name starting with lowercase, class name starting with uppercase letter. So I have a hello 1 package. There's nothing in it. I can right click and I can say new class, and I have the hello 1 class. No exclamation points are allowed. It can have a main. So I can make a private variable in this and quickly generate some getter setters. So we can add another class, and this will be hello 2. You can see these statements are being generated automatically. But the fact that by position, right, hello 1 and 2 are visually under hello 1 package, and the fact that there is this statement, we're doing okay, right? Those are 2 hard requirements for creating a package. So in package 2, I'll create a protected variable. And I'll go ahead and generate getter setters again. So it's time to create a sub package. So pay close attention to this. When I say create a new sub package, it's already got the name of the package there, right? So I'm going to create a sub package dot spkg1. So the convention is package name dot sub package name. So we have to use the dot, right? Now notice that it did not put the sub package in the same folder, I mean in Eclipse at least. But if I go and look at the physical directory structure, spkg1 is a folder inside hello 1. So how do we know that? Well, let's click on properties of this sub package, and if I go to this location in the file system, you can see the source has hello 1. Can you guys see this in the back? And then hello 1 has spkg1, and it has hello 1 and hello 2.java. Now, when subpackages are created, a directory is added, I mean a subdirectory is added in a package directory that you add the package in. But when you look at Eclipse, it doesn't do that. So in subpackage there are no classes. So what I'm going to do is leave this open here, and on the left side I'm going to go and add a Java file in I'm going to go ahead and add a Java file in the hello3.java is in subpackage 1. So you can see how this is beginning to unfold. And you see hello3.java got created in that directory. Hello1 spkg1. You guys are lucky because you have these really nifty tools that do all of this for you. In the Stone Age, we would have to create all this manually. You have Eclipse there too, unless you're working in the shell over that, right? If you're working in an IDE, it's operating system agnostic. Yeah, it'll do all this for you. So I think I've done enough on packages and sub-packages. Let's go and use these, right? So, because I think that's where a lot of the questions will be. And you've probably noticed that I've created a variable X in all of them. That's deliberate, okay? Just because I want to show you guys something. So we'll go ahead and generate getter setters. So every class has X as an instance variable, except hello2 is protected. Hello1 and hello3 X variable X is private. So now I go under source and I say create a new class, which is what you have been used to, right? Because you guys have been creating classes in the default package. So I'm going to call this guy driver, and I'm going to throw a main in it. And you can see driver goes in the default package. And how is the default package shown? If you look in source, there is driver.java. Default is shown here, but there is no directory named default, right? So now I'm going to save all these files, not print them, excuse me. And I'll say import hello one.start. So obviously this is saying, well, you're never using it, and I guess you guys are used to ignoring that, right? So when I import hello1, does it import spkg1? When you import a package, are you thinking it's going to import all the sub-packages too? And the answer is no. It only brings the classes in the parent package. Now let me demonstrate this, because sub-package has hello3, right? So technically if I'm right, then I should not be able to instantiate hello3. Oh, look at that, it brought it by itself. That's cheating. Do what I'm telling you. I can command Eclipse. It added that by itself. Kind of refuting I said it works? No, there was the import state. Right? Kind of refutes my point. That's what I wanted to show you guys. So what does that say? Hello3 cannot be resolved as a type. People, don't rely on those messages and click on something to fix a problem, because it takes you into a direction you don't want to go in sometimes. Use your logic to fix issues. So, of course, what it did there was quite all right. So now I can say hello1 dot subpackage. And one moment, please. And this works. I said 10 minutes, right? Please. But I guess when there's a question, there's a question. Go ahead.
So if you import the sub package, does it also get the parent package? Oh, so it doesn't.
You import one directory at a time. That's the Java rule. Or that's how the libraries work. And that is for performance.
So
I'll explain that later.
packages don't have inheritance like classes.
No. Only classes have inheritance. Package is just a box in which you put things, right? And that's it. It's a package. Like when you're ready to ship a bunch of things, if you're very organized, you create your shipping Christmas presents, right? You have a separate box for each person you're sending, and then you send the whole package, right? So import star means just the outer contents. The inner contents aren't important. Because it lives in a subdirectory, right? And the reason you have this concept is that when you end up writing complex applications, you have to package things so you logically group. Like what? If you're dealing with, let's say you want to write different ways of reading files. You guys only know how to work with text files so far, right? There are 30 different types of files that you can work with in Java. So let's say you have this need or a requirement where you need to write a program so you can either read a text file, read from a binary file, read from string-oriented files, or use threads to work with files. And you're all reading the same type of content, right? So you can create a file IO package, and you can create a sub-package for text, a sub-package for binary, and the idea is that you have boxed these classes or class in these sub-packages, and the code is organized. I mean, what happens when you put all your files in one folder? I will show you. My Z drive. Right? It's very organized. Please don't laugh. You know, it's not organized, right? The point is, it becomes very hard, and then I am always looking at the search, right? Now, Google Docs is different because search is like nice. I mean, I'm not saying Microsoft search is not nice. It is also very nice. The point is organizing your code and putting Java files in the right place so you can go find things, and it's also good for maintainability. And in the near future, you're also going to be introduced to the concept of creating components. Meaning, how do you build molecules from atoms, right? That's the next step in learning object-oriented design. And packages has a lot to do with it. Okay? So, when I import a sub-package, it does not bring in, when I import a package, it doesn't bring sub-package, and vice versa. If you import a sub-package, it doesn't bring the package directory that it's in. Just know that, right? So, now let's say I get rid of this, and can I create hello1? Because you all can see that hello1 is right? So then of course you go and click away and you say, help me, and it is too much clicking, just type. Don't rely on that. Now what is the difference between saying bring in hello1 dot star or hello1 dot just the class, hello1 class? So you see, each one of these import statements is building a class catalog in memory for you to use. So whenever you try and make a reference to, when you import, that catalog is built, no matter you use the thing or not. So if you start doing this wildcard thing, or like I say, the wild thing, where you just use star all the time because you love dot star, and you wonder your programs are running slow. Why? Because all this class information is already loaded, right? It's like, you just say, oh, bring it in, I may need it, right? But good coders will only import absolutely what is required. And that way, the program execution is faster. You know, people often say that, oh, Java code runs slow. People have been saying that for 20 years. And I've been looking at it for 20 years, but now, right about after the year 2007, there are modifications made in runtime that have made things a lot faster. Something to be talked about in the future. But Java code is, when it runs at machine level, it's the same thing as C++ code. Well, C# has garbage collection too. But the number of times you create memory leaks and cause crashes, in contrast to no memory leaks with pointers, right? It's taking us into another world of discussion, but we'll stick to packages for right now. Yeah. You sure? Okay. So our goal is packages and scope. That's what we're trying to understand. So when you create sub-packages or packages, you now know the behavior and what to expect. So now let's go into hello 1, and there is hello 2 has a protected variable x, right? So if I go in hello 2 and in hello 1 I want to create a variable of type hello 2. I'll make that default, hello 2 a1 or hello 2 a2 equals new hello 2. And what I'm trying to prove is that I can access the protected variable directly because hello 1 and 2 live in the same package. You follow? So if I say a2 dot it gives me an error. Misplaced constructs. Right. Why is that? Has anybody done this before and gotten that kind of error? Because this is like a very non-Java thing. This would be like a C++ thing. Because you cannot go inside a class anywhere and start typing code. You have to you're only allowed to write code in what? Inside a method. You don't put code outside of a method. So here I was, well, let me try. And what does it do? Misplaced construct. Right? So I have to write a method showing protected behavior, which is really what I'm trying to do. Right? So now if I say a2 dot, things will begin to show. And the first thing you see is what? X, right? That's that protected variable. So I can say a2 dot x is equal to 55. Good question. Public variable is accessible from anywhere, from outside of a package. But protected variable is only accessible inside a package or in child class. Good question, right? What's the difference between protected and public? Let's go there in a minute. Please, one moment. So protected and private So I created this little chart for you guys so you can understand scope, and it's all in one place because there is that question about difference between one of those two, right? So select the two columns and figure out your answer. And this is already uploaded on the website under scope. And I'll slowly explain this. To answer your question, when you think of a private variable, it's only accessible from within the object. Private is yes, only from within the object. When you deal with public, it's accessible from everywhere. When you deal with protected, it's accessible from within the package, from within the class, and from child classes. No, any of these can be instance variable. You can use private, protected, and public. I won't talk about default because I have to after I introduce it. You can use these with instance variables, static variables, instance methods, static methods, constructors, classes. Okay? So this was just to show that when you create a protected variable, right, you can access it. Now another thing I want to show you is that how can a protected variable be accessed in a child class across packages. See, package level variable is a protected variable, right? But if I wanted to access this guy from a class that is in SPKG1 without importing, if I import, I can use anything. You guys very well know that because you import java.util and you have scanner to work with. Right? So let me create I'm going to create a new class. I'm going to call it hello4. And oh no, not a Java interface. We're not ready for those yet. Class. Hello4. And so I'm going to say extends hello2. Now that is a problem, right? Because hello2 lives in hello1 package. So I'm going to have to import it. Now it's important to know which line is first, package or import. So this is still saying syntax error on token package import expected. So if I move this, if I ever see an error like that, and I do that, it's happy. So this makes a good interview question, exam question too. Should the import statement be before package or vice versa? So package statement should always be the first line. Okay? Alright, so now that I have extended hello2, I can access. So what am I going to do? I'm going to create an instance of hello2. Oh man, excuse me. I'm one of those typists that looks at the keyboard to type. Yeah. I never officially learned how to type.
It's never too late.
Huh?
It's never too late.
Yeah, I came into computer science, you guys know how, right? Biologists are not supposed to know how to type. So we have an instance variable A1, and actually let's to avoid scope issues, we have a method here. So we'll say A1 dot so you can see, right, that protected level variable was hello 2, right? Let me save everything. I expect to see this guy, X, in the child class. So A1 dot get X. I don't get the variable X directly. If I make that public, will I? Right. So if you declare a variable protected, it's accessible within the same package and across parent-child relationship also in the same package, but not across packages. If you want a variable to be truly accessible from anywhere, something that we don't do, we make it public, something like that. Okay? What is default? If I convert this guy to just int, right?
Yeah, that was public,
That is default. When you don't use any of the modifiers, that is default. And that's what is meant by default. All the 3 yeses you see, so the default variable is accessible in a package. It's also accessible from a class within the same package. So like same as protected. It's also from a subclass located in the same package, but not outside.
By subclass, do they mean a child?
Yeah, when you use extend. So coding standards wise, I'm now gonna post all these classes, or do you guys want me to?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
So maybe what I'll do is just refer to demo pkg.zip for details on code for packages. How about that? I'll just export the project and upload it for you guys. So that way you can just import from the file system and use it. So we have more or less talked about packages, how to create them, how to create sub-packages, and also scope, right? The picture of scope is just this thing, this part. And that's a reference. I mean, you need to have that in your cheat sheet somewhere. But even while you may want to know these for interviews, the rules in Java that we apply are very simple. Okay? You always create classes public. You make variables private. Always. No protected variables. Always make private variables. And then you control the scope by using public or protected on methods. Those are the rules to follow. If there is a value that is accessible only or should only be accessible inside a package, make that method protected. Sure. So rules to follow, or rules to follow for coding. Also Java coding standards, right? Variables are private. Methods are protected for accessing inside a package. for public to access from anywhere. That's what I said. Right, right. Well, both, this applies to both instance and static. Okay? Are there any questions on packages or scope?
How many bytes can you do like package?
There's no limit. There's no limit to the number of sub-packages. It's limited by the number of subdirectories you can create in an operating system. And for practical purposes, you know, I've actually never ran into that limit. Let's put it that way. Any other questions on, yeah?
Just to clarify, protected variables can't be accessed from a class in a subpackage?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So they're treated almost like separate packages?
Mm-hmm. Protected is package level variable. If you follow these two, you'll be in pretty good shape. And when it comes to creating static, it's seldom. You don't have to create anything static. It's anything that you think is static can be put as an instance. So, but that is my personal opinion. That is not a Java coding standard, right? That's not a Java coding standard. I feel, you know, if you do that when you are dealing with information exchange between disparate systems, just the communication protocols that are used in Java, it enables it's easier to pass information between systems. More to be discovered on that down the road. So are we done with packages and scope? Or I feel we are. Next thing we can talk about is wrapper classes. So let's do that. Wrapper classes. Integer, float, for every primitive type, there is a class with methods.
You're missing chart.
Yeah. For every primitive type, there is a Java class. So if you want to be purely OOP compliant, or if you want to be object oriented, then using these wrapper classes is useful. The point of these wrapper classes is so if you wanted to do data type conversion between these types, then we get access to the methods. So you know you've used one moment, please. You've used methods like taking a string and converting it to a float, or taking a float and converting that to a string. You saw that in assignment 4, I think, the one you're working on now or the last one, assignment 3. So,
Is string included in that list?
no, string is just an object, right? So, string is an object. So you should go in java.lang package and review the methods. You all know how to access the Java API? If not, the best thing to do is to search for Java API. Java API documentation, this is showing 7 though. We want 8. There we go. Java API 8. Because 8, we are on, that's the latest version, and then bookmark this. And then here you on the top left, you'll see all the packages. You can go look at java.lang, and you can then look at long and methods. Don't try to understand all of those. It's too much, it's just on need basis. Be like when it comes to learning, be like the Java virtual machine. What does that mean? Huh? Learn what you need and then garbage collect what you don't. Alright? It's also true that we have this concept of dynamic binding. Because Java does not load all the classes in memory, it only loads what it needs. Right? Performance. People keep talking about Java as poor performance. The performance puzzle, that's another thing to talk about. Now up till around 2005, you could not do things like this. Like declare an integer and say, give it the value 10, then declare a primitive and assign assign the object to a primitive. This is a big deal. This is called autoboxing, meaning converting an object type to a primitive, and this only works for wrapper classes. Don't expect this to work for anything else. And for the same data types. So like if I go into Eclipse and I say, let me build an integer and don't tell me that works. Really? That's cool. I thought it was only for same object, same types on both sides.
Yeah, but could you do the opposite?
No,
What gets stripped out?
because there we have this thing from 36A, right?
Yeah.
That would still apply. How many of you don't know what this means? A double can receive a value of a float can receive a value of a long, and so on. So, not to bore you with this, but you have to know this. So if you go back to the class content, there are some methods that you have to know. And it's all on need to know basis, right? So these are the different wrapper classes, and some of the methods that you need to know. And then there's a little program that you can look through. You'll end up using wrapper classes in assignment 5. Okay. we have another word called final. You all understand static, right? We have done enough on static. Static methods, static variables. Can you make a class static? Yeah. Public static class. Illegal modifier for hello2. Only public abstract and final are permitted. A class cannot be static. An outer class, like the one you're looking at. There are some classes that can be static. But you know what? We ought to look at something in command shell. It'll be fun for you guys to see this part of the world as well. So I'm just setting up the path so I can do this. I can compile Java programs using Java C. Right? Have you guys done this before? Well, it's being introduced today, so we can. So I'm going to create a class. This is how I used to write code in the Stone Age. So I'm creating a new class called hello1 in command shell. So I'm going to say public static class hello1 begin end. Never mind, you guys should see that. You guys should see that here. And I want you guys to see the error message I get. Oh, they've changed that. Alright, we're working with 1.8, which is good. But modifier static is not allowed. Before we used to get a message saying that this class is implicitly static. So the way static is used in runtime environments, right, is that the class itself is static because class has to be loaded for you to do anything in Java, right? So if you try to create a class that is static, the compiler is basically telling you, look, I already make that static so I can run the program. So that's why they disallow the usage of the word static, right? Because what is static? What are the three terms I use for describing static? Shared, one copy, loaded first. So anything static is loaded at the start for the class to execute, like the main method, or even before the main method, the class that contains the main method is loaded. And if there are any static variables in it, those are also loaded, right? So static is not allowed. Now, one last thing before we talk about assignment 4 briefly is final. Not your final exam. But what does this mean?
You can't change it, you cannot change it. It's a constant.
Final means it's a constant.
It's immortal.
Public final void m1 in text. What do you think this means?
Can be accessed by all classes.
Huh?
It can be accessed by. all
Well,
classes.
it can be accessed by all classes mean is public.
Oh, it can't be overridden.
It cannot be overridden. Right? My word is final. My way of doing things is final. Cannot be overridden. And then finally, public final class hello. Cannot be extended. Final, right? And since we are talking about final, there's a method called finalize, which means garbage collect some instance. So you can say, if I make instance of hello, right? And I say a1 dot finalize. You never really have to do that because Java garbage collector takes care of it. A better thing to do instead is a1 is equal to no. That's faster. Okay? So usage of final with instance variables, usage of final with methods, usage of final with classes.
It's finally.
Huh?
There's finally too, right?
There is finally, we need a couple of weeks for that. A good interview question is, what's the difference between final, finally, and finalize? You know two of the three. We'll talk about finally close to the final. Okay? We are ready for assignment 4. 5. You are ready for 4 too. Yes?
Wait, so finalize sets the variable to null. So basically, what's in the chart?
Finally, finalize will mark the object for garbage collection.
So it tries to remove it from the memory.
It tries to remove it from the memory, which is the same thing as saying a1 is equal to null.
Oh.
But we don't have destructors in Java. We don't believe in it. Because we are driving an automatic. We have a very reliable garbage collector. There are 6 different garbage collection algorithms. In JDK 1.5, there was an implementation called Hotspot that implements 2 of the 6. And it is very efficient, whether people want to believe it or not. How many programs are written in Java?
A lot. Yeah.
Not because you're in this class. You can go verify this by looking at number of job openings on dice.com.
Off late.
Not of late. I've been looking at that data every 6 months. And Java programming is dominant. I mean, just to show you, and I guess we'll have a snapshot for the future. So number of jobs, not that I trust these numbers, but I'm just looking at relative data, okay? And now it doesn't want to show up. Okay, maybe a better website, ventureloop.com. Okay, that's a good one, right? So Java jobs, how many do you see? 6107? They're actually 7050, but there's, let's assume 6,000. How many are with C++?
Vice President of France.
Well, I'm just using the word,
Finance.
I know. But again, I'm not singling out, I'm just looking at the total data, right? So, how are we doing? Your website runs very slow. Okay, I think I give up. Breaking into augmented reality. Not on my time. Okay, so a 5-minute break? Or shall we just keep going? What happened here? Why did I die? I died. No, no.